So I'm going to tell you all a very beautiful story, and the story is very, very inspiring and is actually very hope-giving. In the story, we hear a little interesting and a little different fact about Prahlad Maharaj and Hiranyakashipu. So this is mentioned in the Vishnu Puran, and I would like to narrate this story to all of you and help us understand how merciful the Lord is and how magnanimous the Lord is. So the story of Prahlad is a story where Hiranyakashipu was forcing and practically making sure that everyone worships him instead of Lord Vishnu. Hiranyakashipu is a demon, and naturally a demon is inclined towards people worshipping him and people celebrating him. So Hiranyakashipu was forcing everyone around him, but he could not force his own son, Prahlad Maharaj. And Prahlad was a great devotee, though he was born from Hiranyakashipu. So when Prahlad was so absorbed in Lord Narayana that when he exhaled, instead of breath coming out, the name of Narayana would come out. And Hiranyakashipu was very, very angry that instead of chanting his name, Om Hiranyakashipaya Namaha, Prahlad was chanting the name of Vishnu. So once Hiranyakashipu tied up Prahlad to a stone and threw him from top of a mountain. Prahlad, without worrying for himself, he thought about Lord Narayana who is in his heart. And Prahlad held Narayan very tightly in his chest because he didn't want anything to happen to Narayan who is in his chest. It's amazing, right? So Prahlad Maharaj is thinking how to save the Lord. He himself is falling down from the cliff. And instead of thinking how to save himself, he's thinking the Lord is inside my chest, inside my heart as a Paramatma. How do I save him from not getting hurt? So he's holding his chest and trying to protect the Lord from getting hurt. So, of course, Lord Narayan was so impressed with Prahlad Maharaj that he appeared to Prahlad Maharaj and told him, "My dear Prahlad, you are such a great devotee, you have so much devotion. Ask for any boon that you want." When Narayan asked him for any boon, Prahlad, he said, "My only desire, the only boon I want is that I want to see my father as a devotee. And I want to see my father chanting the names of Lord Narayana and worshipping Lord Narayana." Now, obviously, Lord Narayana realized this desire is impossible to fulfill, because Hiranyakashipu is never ever going to become a devotee. He's never going to chant the name of Narayana. So, Lord Narayana did something unbelievable. You know what Lord Narayana did? Lord Narayana incarnated in the form of Hiranyakashipu. He took the form of Hiranyakashipu for the pleasure of Prahlad Maharaj. And in the form of Hiranyakashipu, Lord Narayan worshipped himself. He was worshipping himself, he was chanting his holy names very sincerely, and he was doing so much devotion. And when Prahlad Maharaj saw his father worship Lord Vishnu and his father do so much of devotional service, Prahlad Maharaj's heart was so full. He felt so happy seeing his father perform devotional service. So, in that particular incarnation, the Lord took two incarnations, two forms. One, he took the form of Hiranyakashipu to please Prahlad, duplicate Hiranyakashipu. The original Hiranyakashipu was always there, he was doing all the demonic activities. But there was another duplicate Hiranyakashipu who was specifically appearing only for Prahlad's pleasure, doing all kinds of devotional activities. And Lord Narayan took a second incarnation in the form of Narsimhadev to kill the bad Hiranyakashipu, basically. And according to the Vishnu Puran, that the Lord appeared as two avatars for the sake of Prahlad Maharaj. The Lord Narayan incarnated as Hiranyakashipu, who was a devotee, and Lord Narayan incarnated in Narsimhadev, who was God himself, to protect his devotee and to destroy the demonic forces. And therefore, such a Lord is called as the most merciful, The mercy of the Lord is immeasurable. And because the mercy of the Lord is immeasurable, one of the names of the Lord, he is known as Ameyatma. Ameyatma means the one whose mercy is unlimited. And because if anybody comes to the shelter of Lord Narayana and offers respect to Lord Narayana, um, Krishna never ever abandons that person. And Krishna becomes a friend of that person, and Krishna carries out all the desires of that person in ways that are unbelievable. From this little story, we learn a very important lesson, rather, two lessons. One, Prahlad was trying to protect the Lord when he was falling. We are so concerned about ourselves. The great devotees of the Lord, they put their own concern aside and they are concerned about the Lord. They're concerned about how they can protect the Lord. They're concerned about how they can take care of the Lord. They're concerned about how they can do the best for the Lord. Sanatana Goswami, he was living in under a tree every night. He was living under a different tree every night. And he had nothing with him. He gave up all his wealth and opulences. He was living in Vrindavan as a mendicant, begging from house to house. But when he got this beautiful deity of Madan Mohan, Sanatana Goswami was constantly thinking, how do I feed the Lord? He himself doesn't have anything to eat, and he's concerned about how to feed the Lord. The great devotees of the Lord have this one thing in common, that they don't bother about themselves. They only bother about how they can please the Lord and take care of the Lord. The difference between great souls and people like us, ordinary people, is that we are so much bothered about what is good for us. We are so much bothered about what is, what makes us comfortable. And we hardly are bothered about what pleases the Lord and what makes him comfortable. And therefore, that is the first thing that we can learn from Prahlad. Be concerned for the Lord's protection. Being concerned for the Lord's pleasure and well-being. The second thing that we can learn from this is about how the Lord goes out of his way to fulfill every single desire of his devotees. Imagine, the Lord has taken the form of Hiranyakashipu. What a fortune, isn't it? We usually hear about devotees and people taking the form of the Lord. So when we take the form of the Lord, so that is what the whole idea of liberation is. When we attain liberation, we go to the spiritual world. We attain a spiritual form. It is explained, those who go to the Vaikuntha planets, they actually attain the four-handed form of Vishnu. They all look like Vishnu only. So if you go to the spiritual world, everyone looks like Vishnu only. They're so beautiful, so amazing. But still everyone understands this is Vishnu because he has some special features that everybody doesn't have. He has a Shivatsa mark on his chest. He has a Kaustuba jewel on his neck. So these are few marks that are very special for Vishnu that nobody else has. But other than that, the form of the Lord everybody has. But here is a story where the Lord is taking the form of a demon. I mean, you can't even think of how amazing this is, isn't it? Hiranyakashipu is not so fortunate that he deserves the Lord to take his form. What great things he has done. But Prahlad is such a beautiful devotee, such a wonderful devotee. To reciprocate with his desire that his father becomes a devotee, the Lord takes the form of Hiranyakashipu, who was such a demon. Here, the desire of Prahlad is very amazing. Even though this father has done such bad things to him, he's only thinking, let my father become a devotee. Even if someone does bad to us, we must wish well for that person. That is a sign of greatness. That is a sign of advancement. When somebody does bad to us and we do bad to them, that is ordinariness. And everybody does. That is not a big deal. But if somebody does bad to us and then I pray for him and his devotion, that actually is a sign of greatness. Prahlad Maharaj was such a great devotee that he prayed to the Lord, let my father who has troubled me so much become a devotee. what can be better for a human being than becoming a devotee of the Lord? So Prahlad wishes the highest for his father. And therefore, if anybody does bad for us, let us, rather than becoming envious, angry, and disturbed by them and start hating them, let us start loving them so much. Let us start wishing them so good. Let us start praying so much for their advancement that this radical thinking makes us very special as a devotee in the eye of the Lord. The Lord is so impressed with Prahlad's devotion that he incarnated in the form of a demon for the pleasure of Prahlad's desire to fulfill his desire. Let us all, on this auspicious meditation, think and meditate on our own devotion to the Lord and try to understand the greatness of Prahlad Maharaj and the greatness of this one thought that Prahlad had that made him such a special devotee. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.